Live from the Snuggly Duckling, this is Derailed Trains of Thought. Right, Tim? This is both pleasant and frightening.
It is. It's a very interesting mixture here. Like, at the one hand, I feel a little scared for my life, but on the other hand, I really, my toes are tapping. I'm having a really good time.
I know, I'm ambiguous about this place.
Yes. Ambiguous. That's something that we're not usually in reaction to our podcast locations.
No, that's true.
It's usually really cool or really, this one's sort of in between.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see how it pans out.
It definitely has atmosphere.
Yes.
There's no question about
that. And we'll take that.
Yeah. Although, if nothing else, I wish we had some cleaner plates or that some of these beverages were non-alcoholic.
Yeah, well, it might be an interesting podcast.
Yeah,
so.
True. So, how did your ski trip go this year, Nick?
My ski trip went pretty well. We didn't have much snow, but we had enough that we could go down one or two hills.
Oh, yeah?
Which was fun because we did that and we hung out at the cabin, and it was a good time all around.
Cool.
How about your Christmas?
Oh, Christmas and New Year's are both quite fun. Got together with some of family and my sister's in-laws, boyfriend. It's confusing right now.
Significant others.
Significant others. Thank you. That's a better term. And we got some board gaming in, so that was good stuff.
You should have brought them to the Snuggly Duckling.
I should have. I feel like they would have fit in better here. Yeah. Or at least, distracted the others in case things get a little too out of hand.
Yeah. I know where the exit is, so I'm set.
Good thing to know.
Well, should we go ahead and start our story school?
Let's do it.
We thought today, one thing that influenced a lot of stories, especially a lot of stories nowadays, are multimedia.
Yes.
I mean, books aren't necessarily, but there's most movies and plays and audio dramas, et cetera, internet, flash movies. And a vital part of that is music.
Dun, dun, dun.
And as you may know, we like music here at Derailed Trains of Thought.
That's right, Zach. This is the episode you've been waiting for. It's the all-soundtrack episode, 24/7 soundtrack. So,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I lost my mind and turned into a DJ for a second.
Top 40.
Okay. But anyways, not really.
Music adds a lot to a story. So I think we'll start talking about first music as story. Just by itself.
Oh, just the form. Yeah, because music itself has a form that can be very similar to storytelling. You've got your themes, you've got conflict, resolution.
The whole act of music is theme and resolution, or conflict and resolution, dissonance and consonance. Oh, there we go. And then the most famous, easy example, they teach kids with this things like Peter and the Wolf.
Yes.
Which is a story with different instruments standing for different things and.
Yeah, and basically the different themes for each of the characters, all that kind of stuff. Even on a more abstract level, though, because I remember hearing way back when, I probably got to paraphrase this all wrong, but Wynton Marsalis, the jazz trumpeter, some educational thing, just kind of talking about how, and I never really thought about music theory in this form before, but how you play with this idea in the beginning of it, and then the middle part, especially in jazz, this is very prevalent. Then you explore the musical idea in all kinds of ways, and that's sort of like the
middle of your story, where you introduce the characters and they do stuff.
Yeah, they do stuff, and then at the end it comes into some sort of resolution, some sort of return back to the central idea of the theme.
And I think composers and jazz musicians, people who have a sense of the bigger picture of music, can play with the notes and the themes and the instrumentation in a very story-based way. I mean, the Romantic era that followed the Classical era basically tried to move into this, we're going to try to make you feel emotion through the music. They got much more into the symphonic poems and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's why whenever I go to a symphonic concert or, an orchestral concert, I usually find my mind wandering, because even though I'm enjoying the music and I'm enjoying, where it just naturally tends to lead my mind to go exploring in these, because I think like a storyteller, a lot of times I hear the music and my mind tends to kind of go with the flow of that. And I start kind of thinking less about points and well, not that I really know music theory that well anyway, but that's kind of just where I tend to lead.
Yeah, and I mean, as I've mentioned in podcasts before, music often I use as a way of coming up with stories. Mm-hmm. And like Fantasia is famous basically for taking a piece of music and finding a story to tell with it. Now, I guess that's where things start falling apart for most. The comparison between music and story is that a piece of music, the story is much more abstract. That Fantasia, if they did it every year, whatever, like Disney wanted them to, they could do the same piece with different stories numerous times.
Yeah, that's true.
Because even though the ideas are there, there's universal feelings, universal kind of tensions. It's not specific.
Yeah, usually. I mean, in Fantasia, even that varied depending on the piece. Yeah. Some of them had dancing hippos and stuff like that.
Which it's a great thing to go with it, but it's not necessary to go with it.
Right. Whereas some of the like earlier ones in both versions of Fantasia, they do extremely abstract.
That's true.
Which even I think the Fantasia 2000 one has more of a narrative than the
original.
The original.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just once you pin it down to a specific thing, you lose some of the abstractness of it.
Like everyone knows Imperial March, or most people do. My daughter hums it all the time now. I introduce it to her. She's like at the breakfast, it's like dun 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 dun. I'm like, Rennie, you're awesome.
So that's funny though, because she doesn't even probably associate it. Once you know it's associated with an evil empire, then you think, oh, dark, evil, ominous.
I mean, she knows it's Darth Vader's theme, but she's watched like half of the New Hope, and that's about it. But I like to try to introduce some things, and Rennie's very musical. But anyways,
didn't you used to like dance with Theo to
Doctor Who?
Doctor Who.
Oh yeah, he loved Doctor Who. Now I'm like, Theo listens to Doctor Who. He's like, Dad, I don't like that anymore. He's 6.
I'm over that.
I'm over that. Come on, Dad. Now I'm all about. He has this Christian CD he loves to listen to and dancing to. Okay. It just moves around. But anyways, everyone knows, it's very much connected. In movies, you connect a piece of music to ideas. Mm-hmm. But it's very possible that if Imperial March had been written without the movie, we might have different conceptions. We'd probably still have this sort of powerful force.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
But not necessarily stormtroopers in white.
It wouldn't necessarily have to be evil necessarily. I mean, it would have to be overwhelming, but I don't know if that's the same thing. It could be a force of nature or something.
That's an interesting question. Like, I wonder if you took Beethoven's Fifth, the dun 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 dun, and originally associated it with like a villain, like if people wouldn't always associate it with villainy.
Yeah, because now, I mean, for a while there, it was in The Longest Day. You ever seen The Longest Day? Isn't that what it's called? About the D-Day, the old movie with like...
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember if I have or not.
But anyways... The dun 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 is connected to the letter V in Morse code, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So it's like victory and stuff.
Oh, interesting. So there is association there if you're familiar with that story.
It played at the beginning of that movie and stuff like that. I haven't seen the whole movie, but from my memory, that's all the connections.
Well, and that brings us. There's also that connection sometimes that people bring in when like. It's sort of the opposite of what's going on. Like if you're using a beautiful, like a haunting melody, except in a very eerie setting. Yeah. Like
every promotional for the end of series, like, Lost, the Catch a Falling Star.
Yeah. Or for a little while, Disney was doing that with some of theirs. Like the Age of Ultron was doing it. There are no strings on me.
Yeah, exactly.
I half expected when they were going to do Star Wars promos, it'd be like some creepy version of When You Wish Upon a Star. Maybe they'll still do that for Kylo Ren at some point. Who knows?
When you wish upon a Vader.
Or like in horror movies, they love to play with the music box.
The music box it's very beautiful, but it's also so tinny and
not
by
quite
itself.
right. And
It's
kind of sad sounding.
It's melancholy.
Yeah, it's like one of those things. You turn it one way and it's pretty. You turn it another way, it's like, oh, this is very kind of blue. But that's an example of music that's like also within the. Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Real quick about the juxtaposition thing. Sometimes it works. They'll do the opposite. Play role. Happy song with something horrible happening. I would have to bring the Babylon 5. I love the scene from The Rocks Cry Out, No Hiding Place. I think that's the name of the episode. And basically there's this gospel choir singing, and they intersperse video of the Narn basically stoning Centauri.
Yeah.
And it's, I remember it. I mean, it's been years since I've seen that scene, and it's a pretty memorable scene.
Or the famous Evangelion one where you're doing Ode to Joy when you're in a middle of a fight with
like the last fight.
Yeah, final fight. Well, at least in the TV series.
Yeah, in TV series. Yeah.
When you're like a room filled with blood, literally, and
yeah, and then they just hold the last couple notes while he's like, "What's going to happen?" Then he pops his head off or something, or crushes him or something.
Yeah, very memorable.
Very memorable. And I guess that's why music seeps into people.
Yes.
I mean,
it's like, because sound is one of the senses, and, it just like smell is very memorable, like how you remember a certain place that you used to visit or whatever. Music and sound is very key to memories. And sometimes you get that too, like, say, flashback sequences, especially if, like, in the story, there was some sort of a music box again or something
Casablanca.
Playing. Oh, Casablanca, yes, Casablanca. Yeah, let's go ahead and we can go into a little bit. We'll come back to the theme because I don't think we've touched on the theme as much as we went to. But sometimes in movies, the music is not just the soundtrack, it is a part of the story.
Oh, yeah.
And Casablanca is an example of that. Like, say, as time goes by, play it for Sam, play as time goes by, because it referenced a previous time in their life.
So the music becomes a plot point. Mm-hmm. It's part of the story. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I mean, the movie cannot exist in its current form without music inside the film.
That's how they communicate with the aliens.
Yeah.
And which is interesting, concept there too.
Universal language.
Yeah, basically. I mean,
it's the kind of math.
Yeah. You can watch a movie that's from a completely different language and the music will still communicate to you, you know, in that way. So it's a very interesting tactic to use. Also from Casablanca, I should throw in too. There's that wonderful scene where like all the Germans are trying to sing this German national anthem, basically, or Nazi something. I forget what they're trying to sing, but they're in what was originally a French colony or whatever, and so everyone else in the restaurant starts singing the French national anthem and basically drowning out all the Nazis, and it becomes a very powerful like kind of we will persevere sort of moment, and just music being part of our culture.
Or Yub Nub.
Yes, Ewoks. Yes, that is true. I think you just completely diffused my
your very meaningful point.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Nick.
I'll tell you though, probably many people remember Yub Nub as the Casablanca thing. Probably badly. They're like, no, thank goodness he took that out.
No, see, I like.
I love the Yub Nubs. But, okay, a completely unrelated story. But I remember middle school. Middle schoolers do things. But we were on some sort of trip, and my friend and I we had our Star Wars soundtrack because we're cool middle schoolers. And so we like call up the girls' room and just play Yub Nub into their phone. And we thought it was hilarious. We were pretty cool guys back then.
Wow, you were quite a rebel back then.
We were quite a
Nick.
rebel.
I think
white and nerdy.
Seriously, I think I remember hearing that it translated some other language as to it smells like cereal here. But I don't know if there's any truth to that.
All right, back to the case at hand. The point, yes, whatever it is.
Yes. Well, we were talking about how music is a universal language, and one thing that I think we talked a lot about how people identify with things, but there's also something to that as a universal language in that in a soundtrack, it's really conveying a character's emotions really well. It's crucial. Like if you take out the music in a movie, oftentimes you're left with something completely wrong.
Yeah, and I think that's right because movies can't get inside people's thoughts very easily. I mean, there's ways around it, but music is certainly a huge one. I remember Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse saying that Michael Giacchino, the composer for the music of Lost, said that when the writer said whenever they thought their scene didn't work well, at least the music saved it. They're like, it works because the music carries the weight of a scene they didn't think worked.
Yeah, and I've heard of some editors, I don't know how professional level, but I know some will actually use some music they don't intend to use for the actual product, some filler music, just so they make sure the emotional beats are working. Because if they're just editing the scenes, these very dramatic scenes, and it's dead space, basically, sometimes you're not sure if it's working. And then other times, sometimes a director has very purposely planned for a scene to not have music, and that can be very effective too.
Yeah.
It just depends on your situation.
Because books don't have music. I mean, I guess there's this thing called book tracks that will let you put music with your ebook.
Really?
Yeah.
So like you can be recording your book and having like audio, like music.
No, I
in the
think you're
background of
reading your book, and the author or you can have these royalty-free things that play at certain scenes, and it kind of turns the pages for you. And
so
it's
so
like
so you have to like say
an
how
add-on
fast
soundtrack.
you have to say how fast you read basically, and then it kind of.
I think I've not messed with it much. It's an interesting experiment.
Huh.
I think here's the thing with books that are different than movies is that books can, in theory, get inside people's heads, and the language is the music, I guess, if I can be so poetic.
Yeah.
That a good book needs to have the language convey the emotion, the beauty, these things that really stick with you. And movies use visions for that, but it's not the same as a word because it's a whole bunch of things. You have 5 senses when you're reading in many ways. So that the music's it's different, but I think it's the same use as books have.
Right. As good as an actress Jennifer Lawrence is, she can't communicate everything that's running through Katniss's head 50 miles an hour, in just a look. You need basically the music is sort of a shorthand to get inside
any
of
horror
her.
movie or something, something's happening and then the music turns sour and you're like, oh, something's bad going,
Yeah.
Or something bad just happened. Even though it might be just a normal line, suddenly the music turns an evil shade to it.
Right.
Or vice versa.
Yeah. And music is ideal for, say, montages when you have a long passage of time. You know where we're going, right?
Up here.
Everyone remembers Up large. I mean, the visuals are beautiful, but the musical score just absolutely sells that sequence.
Yeah, because you can't communicate that to that depth without the music.
Mm-hmm.
You can try, but the music adds it's like the what binds it all together, I guess.
Yeah.
It's the sinew.
Yeah. That's, again, Michael Giacchino, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, good guy. I mean, in movie things, obviously the people, John Williams was the best.
Well,
the modern king of the themes that you really identify. You can listen to the soundtrack like, oh yeah, that or this or
Yeah, I think just about anyone working in soundtracks nowadays owes a huge deal of debt to John Williams, or at least they've learned stuff from him. Like I know Michael Giacchino has Hans Zimmer, I believe.
Yeah.
But John Williams is still the king in terms of actually having themes.
And then there's a lot of those people coming up. The Inception. That adds a lot of drama that would not be if you just have this van falling.
Interesting though, that's another case of the music coming from the story too, because they use that.
That's true. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because they use that to basically wake themselves up. But then they use.
Because it's way down the levels.
Yeah, and then way down the levels, at a certain level, you're not. Unless you're read up on the stuff, you probably don't realize that what the composer's doing.
Yeah.
But they're using the same theme that they were using from the story earlier.
Yeah, it was cool stuff.
Yeah, but this is kind of backtracking a little bit, but I wanted to make sure we hit it. Another interesting case of music conveying the emotions, I know you said before, is like early Final Fantasy games.
Oh, yeah, in video games, yeah.
Because you got these very little characters on the Super Nintendo screen that you're trying to convey really powerful emotions with, and you got to depend on the soundtrack.
Yeah, there's no other way to do it at that point, because this little 16-bit character is trying to commit suicide or is just lost love of his life, and you're just like, okay, he this arm thing kind of moved or something, but then there's this soundtrack, and even in the 16-bit sound, whatever, the melody still works really powerfully.
Oh yeah, and this is like way before anyone was really seriously considering video games as art, or it's before we had
Nobu Mastu. He's the John Williams of the video game world.
He seriously is. I think he really changed a lot of people's perspectives on what sort of storytelling you can do in a video game. And
this way, soundtracks are not quite as much fun to listen to on modern video games. I don't know that as well, but they're different.
Yeah, it's a different beast.
Because they're more background, because you have visuals that are basically movies, so you have more cinematic, less melody-intensive, melodically focused soundtracks.
The upside is, I wonder if, because there's certain games nowadays that will emulate 16-bit graphics, except they're able to do it a little bit better.
Yeah.
They're aiming to look like Super Nintendo,
but they're not.
But they're actually technically they're better. They're improvements because the technology's improved. I wonder if people have done that with 16-bit music, the soundtrack.
Oh, I think they probably have.
I wonder if Undertale is an example.
I bet it is, and there's a whole underground thing that do chip tunes, and they just make things like they only use Game Boy sound chips and stuff. Look up Parallel Processing by Zeph and Dan Mulcanen. Genius album. They rigged 2 Game Boy sound chips together and they just rock out, and it's awesome.
Cool.
That's way off track, but that reminds me. Oh, but video games. I hadn't thought of this, but I know I'm not a lot of experience of it. But they do a lot more. The music transition is much smoother. They go from one state to another state effortlessly, depending on what's happening on the screen now. You know, it's not like we play it till we get to the next scene and then we play it. There's this fluidity to the tone of the music. You know, like there's different versions of the same. Background, depending on how tense it's getting or how non-tense.
Okay, yeah, no, that's true, and that could be very depending on their.
It's a lot more subconscious.
Yeah, well, and like someone was telling me the other day that one of the new Xenoblade games, they're getting more into the sort of thing similar to what Chrono Trigger would do, but on a much bigger scale. Of you can walk anywhere. There's no like loading screens practically.
Loading screen.
But there's very little of like you just walk places and so I would imagine, I haven't played this, but I would imagine that's something else. It's not just whether you're surrounded by a lot of enemies, but whether you're walking from this one field into the town or to some other place, et cetera, et cetera.
So it's interesting because music both has an unconscious, subconscious effect on you, and then there's times when the music is much more overt. I mean, obviously like Imperial March, they want you to notice it. But there's a lot of background music that if you're not one guy who listens to soundtracks on purpose, you don't even notice it's there, but you're not really registering. And then you go back and like, oh yeah,
that is there. And then you don't even pick up on it sometimes.
And that's a whole different thing to
the atmospheric sort of stuff. Yeah, that's a very specific purpose. On the completely opposite end of the atmospheric thing, what about, because we should have at least talk about it here, what about musicals?
Musicals, which is a whole different genre. I mean, at that point, music becomes
part of the language, basically.
And I guess, we talk about music helping back up thoughts and emotions. In the musical, the music is the thoughts and emotions.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, they wear it on their sleeve. They're not trying to hide it.
Right.
Or they're not trying to emote it. They're speaking it.
And it can take all different forms. I mean, your Disney movies are essentially like, well, depending on which one, but a lot of them are basically story, then we'll break into the music section, and then back to story. Whereas opposed to
we got your rock operas, like
Andrew Lloyd Webber stuff.
Which is fascinating stuff, thematically.
Some of them very little spoken words at all.
Like Evita or Jesus Christ Superstar or Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, I was trying to remember how many lines Phantom of the Opera had. I think it's mostly singing.
And it's very interesting because there's a handful of central themes that get played up in different ways. But
it makes for a much more, using the classical term of romanticized story, romanticized music. It's all very verbose and very coming from your emotions. It's almost like a visual type of poetry. Yeah.
Or audio-visual. I mean...
Audio-visual, yeah. Because Jesus Christ Superstar is certainly a much different take on... I mean, I'm not sure how scriptural it is. But it's a good exploration of a very familiar story.
Yeah, it's largely like the human side of Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, which Christians don't always focus a whole lot on, but there's definitely fertile ground there.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the guitar riffs for Judas in that thing. That's one of my favorites. But
I always just remember the disciples.
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening.
What's the buzz? Tell me what happened.
Anyways, that's a fun one. Or Godspell, but that's a whole different thing.
I'm not as familiar with Godspell.
Well,
I know it was a big thing for a while.
That's like lots of words, and then let's break into songs are one.
Oh,
that's more like a traditional musical.
Okay, yeah.
Like Les Mis. Les Mis is almost no talking.
Yeah, that's very true. Are there any lines in that? I can't think of any.
Very few, I think.
Very few.
I think like transitional lines.
Well, you probably have like transitional songs in there. It's not the melody that anyone's gonna sing by itself, but it's
there's a lot of Les Mis that's closer to opera in the sense that like it starts not being quite. I mean, it's music, but it's
not real time. Like you wouldn't actually see John Valjean singing "Take Him Home." You know, probably.
And that one, I mean, musical. I think good musicals people love because they really get deep in. I mean, again, music gets deep, and then musicals they're just so much larger than life. I love musicals. Always inspire me creatively when I watch one. I'm like, oh. Because they're just so big.
Yeah. And sometimes we need that reminder that life is bigger than we usually... We like to categorize life as neatly as possible. Sometimes you just need to, like, let it all out.
I guess I never even thought about it, but music really does just make things bigger. like the motions, I mean, that's not a huge revelation, but I guess it's just striking me as being, we talk about it shows us thoughts, but also just, it makes it larger than life, which is what stories need to do in many ways to communicate normal things.
That's a very good point, because a lot of times if you're looking for, I don't know, the artsy or the stories that tend to be much more kind of real life or kind of, internal to a certain extent.
Yeah.
That's a whole different style when you're having very minimalist soundtrack.
Yeah.
And, that, which tends to make life feel sometimes smaller than it actually is, but I mean, it has its own purpose. I mean, Stranger Than Fiction, while it has a nice musical sound to it, is also not Les Mis in terms of, you don't need every story to be quite that huge in terms of musical sound.
It just amplifies.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of, I guess, one of its uses.
Mm-hmm.
It's very nice for that. In radio dramas, it helps amplify what's going on. You can't see anything.
That's true.
So.
All right, well, we've covered a lot of ground. Is there anything we missed?
I'm sure there is, but there's that's all I got right now.
So, if nothing else, if you're just a writer, you can always do what you do, Nick, and listen to music for your inspiration.
Well, I know people like, I do it sometimes, but I know our friend Nathan, he'll make a soundtrack. And I think Laura does the same thing.
Yeah,
He'll make a soundtrack they're like, this is what the sound I'm going for in my writing.
Uh-huh.
And I don't do it very often. Occasionally, I'll do that.
Yeah, I know she likes to do mix, like she'll pull from all kinds of
because then you're amplifying
stuff like that.
your own, what you want to say, and then you're hoping it comes out in what you're writing, which is much more likely, from head to pen. Rowan wrote Kalia, the Whale's Orphan, which for you who may not know, that's a Children of the Whales book that's very internal, very intense in a person's head. I had a particular song I listened to a lot because I had to get in touch with this sort of.
Is that in her self-loathing and whatever?
No, not that one. I listened to a little bit of that one, but more than that, I listened to Everything Equals Nothing.
Oh, okay. Which also sounds very Kalia.
Yeah, it does. And it sounds very much like her audially, too.
Okay. But yeah, art, music and story go well in hand really well. And I guess I wonder how it probably goes back even to the beginning of storytelling, probably.
I would think a lot of the oral storytelling was probably told with a certain melodic sense.
Uh-huh. And I've sometimes wondered if that's where the like your more traditional churches get that kind of reading of the scriptures and kind of
Well, I mean, just interesting that churches have always incorporated music. That is important. Important things are attached to music.
Yeah.
Not necessarily it's important so we're not going to sing it. No, it's important so we're going to sing it. It's the general sense of humanity from my understanding of history, how things go. The important things get sung.
I remember my one of our communications and theater professors at Taylor Upland talking with one of the music professors or something and saying along the lines of like, well, your art is of the angels and all this stuff, and not us lowly theater people who like are, known for debauchery and lies and all this sort of stuff. And it's, there's always been that respect for music, whether because of the Psalms or whether, there's countless instances of songs and people praising God through music.
And not just in the Christian realm either. I think.
Oh yeah,
I mean that's what we care about. But I mean,
but there are other religions that do it too.
But I think music. People have always recorded important things in music.
Yeah,
oddly enough.
Probably a lot of do you think the Odyssey was? I mean, it was a poetry form. I wonder.
I'm not sure it was. I don't know if it was sung. I wouldn't be surprised it was sort of chanted, not chanted, but some sort of. I do not know, but I'm sure there's a lyricism to it.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, we're
rambling.
So go listen to good music, and if you want your own good music, you can listen for this soundtrack. Today, for my soundtrack, I decided I really wanted to pick a Final Fantasy because almost every one of those have like an actual like music that takes place inside the game, like it's happens. But I thought I'd go to something different. There's this game, Machinarium, something like that, about a robot who's trying to get places, and it's an adventure point-and-click sort of game. But at one point, there's this robot band he meets, and they're all, you gotta get back some of their instruments and clear stuff out. And it's a neat little scene. And then when they're done, they play this song called The Robot band song or something like that.
Which, that's the whole aspect we'd even talk all that much about. We mentioned like the music that takes place during the story is like important to a character, but sometimes, you just go to a carnival or you meet a band in a cantina that's jamming around, and it just works.
Or, some lady singing on stage and ends up being the person who just wants to talk to the detective or something.
Did you ever see, there's a Justice League Unlimited episode where they're trying to rescue Wonder Woman who's been turned into a pig for reasons. And basically to get there's this one magician that they need help from who runs a nightclub. In order to get her help, she convinces Batman to sing this blues song.
That's awesome.
And it's actually really, really cool. But anyway, that's a complete side tangent. I'm sorry to distract you.
So no, that's fine. So this is the radio band tune. I think it's from the actual game. It's not a remix.
Cool.
By Tomas Dvorak, I believe is the composer's name. Anyways, this is free from Bandcamp, the EP for Machinarium, but the full soundtrack is certainly worth buying if you like this sort of style.
Awesome.
And you can find them on Bandcamp.
Okay.
Enjoy. right, and we're back. Hopefully you enjoyed our robot band tune.
It was unique.
It was, yes, exactly.
All right. Well, Nick, this place is they're getting a little rowdy here, so we really need to move on with it's a good thing we've got a side room here at the Snuggly Duckling.
Yeah. So, okay, it's now time for It Came from the Intrawebs. So this is the part of the show where one of us comes up with something from the internet to show the other one. Normally, it's actually something Tim's found in the corners of the interwebs.
Well, it doesn't always have to be a surprise, I guess.
No, but it works nicely as a surprise. Like Jim Carrey's website.
Yeah, basically.
Or like Sesame Street Fighter.
Yes. Well, and as we all know, there's lots of creativity on the internet, especially in terms of music. There have been some musicians who've become big that way. Lindsey Sterling, Pentatonics, Justin Bieber, although I think most YouTubers tend to disavow him. But there's also a time-honored tradition on the internet of taking songs in an unusual direction.
Yes.
Or like performing them in an unusual way.
Yes.
And so I've selected a bunch of these for you, Nick.
Ooh.
And so we're going to play a little game here where the trick is to see, first off, if you can recognize the song.
Okay.
And then second off, what have they done differently with this song? Or what have they done to it? What have they done to it? So.
All right, let's see. Okay, this is a fun game show part. Okay, yeah. I like this.
All right, ready?
Here's the first buzzer. Yes.
Here's the first one.
X-Files.
Ah, very good.
And it's like,
what's different about it, though?
Well, like the background archipelago, whatever you call those things, are different. And been moved. It's not near spooky. It's almost like I'm Chariots of Fire doing X-Files. Like I'm running across the beach. Like, yes, this is going to be very energizing and not scary.
Very much so.
It's not in a small town in Canada.
It's actually a very friendly type of place, right?
Yes, exactly. Like, yay! It's like a little kooky. It's like Eureka.
Well, I can tell you a little bit more of what they're actually doing.
Okay, yeah, what do they do then? They obviously modulate it somehow.
Well, it's actually being played in a major key as opposed to a minor key.
Oh, nice.
It's done by a guy who on YouTube called Muted Vocal that's done a couple things like this. In fact,
it was kind of fun in major key.
Yeah. Here's another one of another traditionally dark song that's
Hey, we mentioned this one earlier.
We did. This is like the bright, bubbly version of the Imperial March.
It's like that's awesome. It's like your marching band version.
It kind of is.
It's like back home on Naboo. You know, like
when everything is well with the universe.
This is like you have to honor the Empire, but you really want to kind of just stick it to them. So you play in a major key and like, ha ha, you're not as evil as you thought. Okay, this is kind of fun.
He calls it Vader's redemption.
This is very like you'd hear like in a Final Fantasy game when they like go to like the main city and there's, you know, like airship theme or something like that.
Basically. Yeah. Now it was funny you mentioned Chariots and Fire earlier because he also did a minor key version of that. Oh, really? Yeah. It starts off kind of the same, but it goes into this like 80s horror.
Yeah, I was going to say this it's starting to feel like some sort of like Mystery Science Theater movie intro, you know, like it's from the 80s and it's just going to be bad and have zombies in it.
Yeah, it's just society's going wrong.
Yeah,
it's
dystopian.
Yeah, something that what was that RoboCop ripoff we watched?
Kung Fury? No, not Kung Fury.
No, not Kung Fury. The riff tracks thing.
Oh, Rotor. That would be a perfect Rotor soundtrack. That'd be awesome.
But anyway, he does. This guy does some like a audiobook type stuff too. So if you're interested, Muted Vocal, aka Ian Gordon on YouTube.
Nice. I'm enjoying this game. This is a good game.
All right. So this next one is a little bit of a cheat, as it's actually a professional, established musician.
Yeah.
But I'm still counting it because I don't think I would have ever found this if it hadn't been for the internet.
Okay.
Actually, and I should say, I should thank Laura Fisher for putting it on her Tumblr. Tumblr is good for finding some very random stuff.
Yeah.
So, and this is an example of that. I'm going to start.
Yeah. Nice. Queen and like gypsy rock.
Something like that.
Boy, make a big noise playing in the street. Gonna be a big man someday. You got mud on your face. You big disgrace. Kicking your can all over the place. Singing,
wow.
He has a very specific tone he's going for.
Yeah, I can't quite. I'm no good at playing those things, but I'm enjoying it immensely. The bop, like it's like what Weird Al does with accordion, sort of. But a different ethnic style.
Yeah. Well, here's the story about this guy. This is actually Max Raab. He's a German singer, actually, but also helps start up an orchestra. And he's known for basically 1920s, 1930s style music.
Okay.
And he's done this sort of thing to some pop songs like Oops, I Did It Again, Britney Spears, and I guess Salt and Peppa, and a couple other pop songs, but they also some actual standards from that period. So it's a really interesting sound.
I like that.
The original post that I saw for it had Will Turner and Jack Sparrow in first Pirates movie where he's like, this is either madness or brilliance.
See, I love people doing this sort of stuff. This is what the internet is made for, I guess.
Okay. This one, I can't remember. I might have actually showed you this video at some point. I'm not sure. I don't expect you to recognize the song, but I still think you'll enjoy it.
Does sound familiar. Might just be the style though.
Okay, first off, let's see if you can guess what's the main instrument being played here.
Oh. Some sort of stringed instrument.
Oh, yeah.
Ukulele.
No.
No. I want to see a hardcore ukulele strumming.
You're on the right track, though.
Oh, really?
Somewhat.
Like banjo.
Banjo, yes.
Banjo, okay.
It is a banjo. And what would you say the original genre is?
Hard heavy metal.
Yeah, basically.
That's nice.
Yeah, the original song is called Raging Blood. And it's
on the banjo. That's awesome.
Done on the banjo. The YouTuber is Rob Scallion, and he does a lot of guitar stuff. Actually, I'll let you see some of the video here, and you can see he's like he does a lot of like actual head thrashing here and
that's
rocking on
awesome.
I'm gonna jump ahead here a bit the song because I want you to see his buddy. So he has
the crazy banjoing is awesome.
And then they add in the spoons.
The spoons, nice.
His buddy with the he's the banjo player is in like overalls.
Yeah.
So and then like his buddy had like a straw hat at first, but his head thrashing is too intense to keep it up.
That's awesome.
And they're really going at it.
I think we need more heavy metal banjo.
Yeah,
I think that'll be a thing.
I'm surprised there's not more of this on OC Remix actually.
Someday there will be. Yeah, I think more heavy metal banjo will be genius. I think like a Guitar Hero where like
seriously
just do that. The ending spoons. Spoons is awesome.
Yeah.
I like spoons as an instrument.
It's not a genre of music I listen to usually at all, but that's just
heavy metal banjo.
Well, heavy metal in general. But
death banjo.
Okay,
I think that'd be awesome. Death banjo.
All right,
just
all right. You should recognize the tune of this, but I'm not going to give you any other sort of expectations here.
It's like reaching your hand in those things at Halloween to see like, oh, it's spaghetti, but you think it's brains.
Yeah.
Oh, Gerudo.
Yes.
Zelda. Zelda.
Gerudo Valley.
Yeah, I always want to say Gerudo Peoples, but that's the first time I knew this song. But what is that? It's like in some. I'm not sure what they're playing it on.
Yeah, this is
pretty electronic. I mean, it's like
this is
smashed.
This is a very, very geeky one. I'll give you that sort of hint.
Sounds vaguely familiar. Not familiar, but like I could possibly place it, but I don't think.
I'll give you another hint. I don't know if you'll be able to get it or not, but they're not actually playing this live.
Well, I figured it was some sort of electronic.
Yeah, program.
Yeah, like some sort of when they emulate Game Boy and stuff. It's not a Game Boy though, is it?
No, it's not on a Game Boy at all. No.
That background thing sounds just that edge it has, or that
there's something there that's tickling. It sounds familiar.
Yeah. What is it?
This is actually, I have no idea how he does this, but this is actually being played on a collection of floppy disk drives.
That is utterly genius.
Like in the video, there's actually 8 floppy disk drives gathered around the microphones, and somehow he has programmed it, I'm guessing through MIDI or something, to basically for the drives to kind of go up and down.
Well, it has that kind of spinning, thinking, that this blunt edge. Wow.
I don't know how you would even think of doing it. It's not the only person who's done this. I found a couple people like this.
It's madness or genius.
Yeah, one
it's
of two. This particular one is done by a YouTuber called Sammy1am. I think as in Sam I Am.
Sam I Am.
Yeah. Here's another one of his taking a more classical song.
Dun, dun. Oh yeah, mention Hall on the King.
Yeah.
Wow.
You've been on the ball actually.
It was interesting. When I was at, we went to Little Rock, Arkansas for my brother's mastership ceremony.
Okay.
They had a science museum there, and they had one of those, a giant, what do you call it? Tesla coils,
Oh yeah.
and they played songs on it.
Yeah, that was another one. I thought about bringing that one up.
It was cool. I'm like, man, that is awesome.
Yeah.
I think they played Mario on it actually at one point.
Okay, I'm going to show you another. This is one that's in a similar vein, but different.
Not disk drives.
Not disk drives. Similar instrument. Okay, this first part's not
Oh,
actually.
that sounds like a
Okay, here's where it's.
like cash register.
This is actually the beginning of the song.
Oh, nice. What do you call it?
What's the song?
Eye of the Tiger.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like Ryan the Kaiser. What?
Like you should know this one very well. That's
Is it adding calculator?
well, I meant, no, but I meant in
Oh,
terms
Eye
of
of the
your
Tiger,
writing
yeah.
program. Yeah.
Dun, dun. Yeah, I can tell. Yeah, it's the same very electronic-y.
Yeah, it's something that's not really meant to be a musical
Not meant to be
instrument.
but why not?
This
I
is
don't know.
this is another piece of outdated stuff too. Unless you happen to be strong bad, I suppose.
Like a combat,
Who would
like,
love it?
like a Commodore 64.
It is actually. Actually, let me check myself here.
A Lappy?
Where's the name?
Man, that's nice though. Did you see someone took one of those wind organs and did Smooth Criminal?
Smooth what?
Smooth Criminal by Michael Jackson.
No.
It's the one where you poke the holes in, you crank it, the crank organ.
Oh,
and
that's
they did.
brilliant.
I bet you look it up, crank organ, Smooth Criminal. We might have to add that one.
I might have to add that one in there. This is a dot matrix printer.
Okay.
believe what it
Yeah, we
is.
still have one of those actually at Honda.
Somehow I'm not surprised.
Well, for contracts, for some reason, is like the only thing that seems to work.
Gotcha.
That is awesome.
That is very fun.
I'm really enjoying this section.
Okay. All right. So let's go on to the next one here.
Tim's shaking his head.
I-
He's like, I can't even believe this happened.
I
I think we're working from normal to we're working from like normal to even weirder, and normal being the I know I should keep it, but one of the youth, Jared Prince, introduced me. It's supposed to be bad, but it's the I will go on from Titanic on the penny whistle. It's hilarious.
But this one was originally from SoundCloud.
Okay.
And I think the original mixer was a guy called Stephen Khoury, aka Gimpus. But the internet trend here is air horns.
Air horns.
Which is apparently a thing in certain things.
Why not?
Now-
there's a subculture for everything on the internet.
There is. I mean, and it's all meant to sound goofy.
Yeah.
Now, in my opinion, like, and I listened through a few of these. Some of them, I think the air horn gets a little too mixed. Like, it didn't work nearly as well or nearly as funny.
That was
when
really
it
nice. That one. That was
the
that
timing
was
is like
perfect. Yeah.
comedically. But sometimes they like layered them too, and it's like, it just becomes a big mess.
Yeah.
So it works well when they like mix it in with the original song. And there's a couple of different
That's
ones of this,
hilarious.
but the only other one I think comes even close is the one to Hawaii 5-0.
That's awesome. Wow, man.
No, some of them are much more painful sounding.
That's hilarious.
This is the sort of I can play this late at night and I'll just be rolling around laughing.
That's great.
Okay, but before our listener's sanity, I'll stop it there. Just so he has credit. That's from Ryan Berry on SoundCloud. Okay,
that's great.
Okay, so this is the last composer, but I'll let you hear a couple different tracks.
Okay,
because this one is much closer to what we typically sort of hear on it. But musically, it's probably my favorite, one of my new favorite finds on here. So here you go.
Nice. Battle Song Final Fantasy VII. Is that kazoo?
That is kazoo.
Kazoo.
Let me introduce you to Zuko G. I'm not sure I'm saying his name right. But you know, there's a YouTube trend of
the Brady Bunch kind of style with a cappella. They do a lot.
Yeah, basically, a lot of versions of themselves. So this is one guy playing a lot of kazoos. Yeah. And the fun thing about this guy is not only are they very musically fun to listen to, but he's just a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah,
he does this Brady Bunch type thing a lot, but then he'll do some other variations here, which I'll show you.
It tells you how popular No Moon Master's music is. That people go do kazoos of it for no good reason.
Well, the funny thing too about
it works really well actually in this song.
Well, kazoos, he's found. I never knew kazoos had the range that they had until I found this guy. Honestly,
they're professional kazoos.
Yeah, they're like metal ones apparently. Yeah. Like some of them. Lately he's been doing a lot from a game called Undertale.
Oh, that's a new like indie, everyone loves it sort of thing.
Yeah, basically, and it's very catchy. But you know, this shows this one's apparently a lot fewer tracks, probably a simpler sort of song. The interesting thing I found is that like on tunes that are like more like your 8-bitty type things, the kazoo almost sounds like it is 8-bit. Like it doesn't actually add quite as much as you might think.
That's hilarious.
I mean, this is just kind of a catchy.
This is very catchy.
I'm sure you'll see a lot more Undertale stuff on OC Remix.
They already have one.
Yeah, I know that. I saw they had one.
It's like everyone loves it.
Yeah, but it's fun. Like this is fun, but it's also fun to hear him do like full on orchestral stuff.
Yeah,
like
nice.
Here's one from
Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts 2, the Organization 13 battle music.
Oh, that's nice. The big boss songs work really well with kazoo for some reason.
Yeah. Well, and apparently this one had like 20-some tracks when he mixed it, so I'm sure it was a beast to put together.
I mean, this is a thick, multi-layered.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
Yeah.
See, that makes me wish I could play kazoo.
What?
I wish I could play kazoo now.
Oh yeah. Apparently, I don't think it may not actually be too difficult. Like, I mean, the main thing is as long as you can sing and get the tones right.
Yep. That's my problem.
Yeah. So most of them, like we said, are the Brady Bunch type thing. You know, you see a Jimmy Fallon kind of copy that. But occasionally he'll do other sorts of like little skits and things. Do you know Pokemon was a little before your time? But you recognize the song right away, right?
Yep.
I love this particular video. You have to go. The podcast obviously can't do it justice, but what I love about this one is he's doing his basic. He's usually does kind of a bust type shot, but in this one he just plays it up to the max.
Yeah, he's having a lot of fun. Tons
of green screen, tons of different kind of looks for it, and he's totally into the song. So.
Yes, that's hilarious.
So Zuko-G, his kazoo theme is called Kazooed. But he does a couple other covers with that don't feature kazoo. So
nice.
If you like video game music or anime music, check it out. So there you go.
Has he done Cruel Angel Thesis or whatever it's from the end. That'd be great in kazoo, wouldn't it?
That would be cool. No, I'm trying to think. The anime that's really hot right now is One Punch Man, which I haven't watched yet, but
it seems like you know what he's going to do. Punch you one time.
I guess it's sort of a shonen comedy type thing. I mean, but anyway. And I think you did what's the other big one right now? It's like Ava, but not
like the Attack on Titan.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Which I've not seen, but yeah, I hear it's horribly depressing and
basically
stuff. Yeah,
I haven't watched it yet. My sister says I should give it a try, but
yeah, this is quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
See, Zach has probably stopped listening at this point
because we're just talking about the music.
Yeah. So yeah, go hunt down these. These will be in the show notes, right?
Yes. Well, and actually, that reminds me. I actually put together a playlist of, I think all of them are on YouTube.
Oh,
so
nice.
Check out our show notes, and I'm going to leave the playlist unlisted because it wouldn't really make much sense on our channel.
Yeah.
But that's going to be all on there for you to check out.
Nice.
Only question I have is now that we've heard some of these, what's a song that should get the internet treatment? Like of
internet treatment.
Some really interesting version of it, at least.
There's a lot of good songs for that.
And I guess the question to go with it is what do you want it played on?
How do you get it played on? Yeah.
I feel like I'd love to hear Weird Al do an all accordion version sometime of I don't know anything. I mean, he does his accordion medleys all the time.
A lot, yeah, which are quite entertaining.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. See, I don't know because they've done a lot of the famous stuff. You know, my wheelhouse is a lot of Nobuo Uematsu sort of stuff. But like I found the other day a cantina band done in electro swing style, which was pretty awesome.
That would be cool.
Now I wonder if you could do some sort of tank in some sort of bizarre.
Oh, tank from Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what do you do? You know,
I don't know that because that song is so distinctly swing.
Yeah.
It would be.
But you could do it in some sort of. I mean, what happened? Like
metal, maybe?
Yeah, what
like
hard rock? Some hard rock, yeah. Look it up. I bet.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Tanking, death metal tank.
Well, I'll have to be specific what I type in here because I'm sure there's actually some actual song
put tank with the exclamation mark.
Yeah,
that's the official title.
Tank,
and then heavy metal,
Cowboy Bebop,
heavy metal.
Because people
do all kinds of stuff.
I'm not seeing that though. Just bringing up Heavy Metal Queen, which is the name of an episode.
Yeah, you're right. Bebop. That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
There's Tank on floppy drives.
Really? Let's hear that real quick.
Okay, let's play that.
That's complicated on floppy drives. That's not easy.
Well, I don't know. I want to know that's
nothing really is easy, but.
Yeah. We got an ad for this. This is another reason why I downloaded it, so you don't have to worry about ads.
Let's see. What other good song would there be? Some sort of real rousing, like something very triumphant.
Indiana Jones theme.
Indiana Jones theme would be fun to do in some like.
That one might be the guy who I said did minor versions.
You might have minor versions.
I think he might have done.
That would be an interesting thing. We've played on here for soundtracks the like Zelda theme done on beer bottles, haven't we?
Yeah, the Zelda Hijinks.
Yeah,
we did that.
Did we do the
point.
cell phone one too from 9?
Yeah, we did the one with.
Were those the same episode?
Final Fantasy. I don't think so.
That'd be interesting. I'm trying to think of a semi-famous song that's probably not been done too much. But there's something like Star Wars been done a million times.
Oh yeah, all over the place.
Every style imaginable.
I wonder if there's like a Turkey in the Straw version, like heavy metal version. That one might be though, because that's very any of those string heavy ones they translate well back and forth from.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if this will play here. Oh, this one added some background stuff.
That's pretty impressive though. Mm-hmm.
Okay, overplaying this first intro bit.
But it's probably the easiest part to do. It just gets hard after that.
Oh, we've got some buffering errors here.
Okay, let's see. What other good...
Okay, well, since we
See,
know
when you do like something like since we had a Star Wars episode, do something like Duel of the Fates, but like with like those Catholic children's choirs, like real like formal, like not
as excited, more like
not epic, but just like
take the
like chanty, like
or you take the rhythm down a little bit.
like remove the rhythm from it and
that
make
could
it
work.
more like church, like with an organ.
On the flip side of that, I was also
organ.
thinking when you first said Duel of Fates, for some reason I started thinking like some sort of not percussion, but the like when you're doing. Or not even bongos. Like what do they call it when you do like the cups thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's some sort
of rhythm thing like that.
Yeah, some sort of rhythm thing, like very tropical sounding.
like a calypso sort of.
Yeah, like a calypso
steel
kind of
drum
deal.
sort of deal.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. Like a reggae version.
Yeah,
I don't know how you can make it reggae, but maybe we could. Be kind of awesome.
It'd be really different.
It would be very different.
Brought back in the Cowboy Bebop here a little bit.
Dun, dun, dun. I'd like the song in every. There's certain songs that I don't care what they play it on. It's still awesome.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the main ingredients are still there.
Yeah, it just has energy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess you could slow it down ridiculously and
then turn it into something completely different.
And
they do that sort of thing in OC Remix sometimes. Sometimes you'll get like a really like chill version of a Mega Man theme.
Yeah, or like I mean, that's what Maze do half the time. I know he did I think it was Echo. I think it was a Plock song, and he like slowed it like down like 400% or something like that. It's like it's not like completely different than like the judges said they would not even have guessed it was the same song apparently, because he does that kind of weird stuff.
Oh, that's great. All right, well we should wrap this.
Yeah, we should wrap this up. Okay, well. I think some lady just came in the door and
wow, that is a lot of hair.
That is
that is crazy.
It's gonna get really dirty on this floor.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Well, first off, we mentioned the show notes earlier. And where could we find those?
On the internet. Oh, okay. At derailedtrainsofthought.blogspot.com. That's our main site.
You've done that joke before.
Well, yeah, but.
We're also on, you can subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube. Another feature special for this episode, and Nick doesn't know about this yet.
No, I do not, apparently.
Like I said, I'm leaving the playlist for that unlisted, but I've added some playlists, a playlist for each of our soundtracks, basically.
Oh.
So there's now a playlist for all of Nick's soundtracks and all of my soundtracks.
That'd be interesting to see kind of I mean, we had that one... turn on the radio collection for the 50th, but the interest is just kind of the range or not range.
Yeah, actually play through it all. Yeah. No, there's lots of Maze Dude on Nick's list.
Well, yeah.
Mine has lots of Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy, but there's some good stuff. Yeah. There's probably a few that are missing that are not on YouTube, but most of them are there.
Like even like, do you get the Homestar? Title screen song?
Yeah, the loading screen.
Because that's on YouTube now, isn't it? Probably.
Yeah, although strangely enough, not that song. Like they've uploaded a lot of their stuff, but
really, not that song.
Not that song, but someone else had.
Oh well, good.
So it's there.
Okay.
So
you need to come subscribe, leave us comments, leave us reviews on iTunes.
And if you listen through our soundtracks playlist, just say Derailed Trains of Thought sent me.
Yeah.
And then people will be like, "What is that? I must go find out."
And you can also just tell us which ones you love, don't love. Zach, you can't comment.
You have to keep in there that this episode was sponsored by ATA Excellence.
ATA Excellence, yes, exactly. He does not know yet, but he wrote a check to us secretly for large amounts of money. Anyways, Tim, give us our soundtrack.
Okay, for my soundtrack.
Because we haven't had enough music this episode.
Yes. I seriously thought for a minute about including a Sugo G at the end, but I figured he probably wants people to go. He actually did release some album Bandcamp stuff, so I should point people to that and stick with something from OC Remix. This is from one of my go-to remixers, Kate the Great 19, aka Aerotan. It's remixed from the game Dark Cloud, and the song from Dark Cloud is The Village Festival. So I haven't played this game, but I'm guessing that's another case where basically they go to a festival and the game soundtrack just kind of mixes in with what characters would probably be normally hearing anyway. Yeah. But this remix is called Round the Bonfire, and it's classic Keith the Great. That's all you can say about it. Classic Keith the Great 19. So Hope you enjoy, and I think we're gonna get into our own song and dance number right here.
Yeah, all right. I'm ready for that.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, guys. Well, you have fun while we go sing and dance over here. This has been Nick.
And this is Tim.
Bye.
Farewell.
So long.
Auf Wiedersehen.